Greetings and welcome to the Transform Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Anastasio. It is Friday, July 1st, 2022, and this is episode 71. And welcome back, guys. Obviously, as we start the second half of the year, super exciting, to sort of symbolically step over to the other side here. And it just brings us that much closer to what will probably be a very quick conclusion to the year and entry into 2023. Which is kind of crazy to think about. But before we get started, guys, this is going to be a fairly brief episode. It's going to be sort of like one other episode I did a little while back when Elon Musk acquired Twitter, and I kind of used the episode to sort of philosophize a little bit about that and what it might mean for Twitter users and the future of the app and that sort of thing. But before I get into why I say that, I just want to point out, yesterday we published episode 70. We kind of did a mid-year review themed episode as we got ready to cross over here to July 1st. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check that out, I encourage you to do so. I went over like three kind of general areas you can kind of use in your marketing efforts to do sort of a health check or a status check on your marketing efforts and statuses and so forth. So encourage you guys to check that episode out that we dropped last night. But what I wanted to do today with this episode is kind of briefly bring to your attention something that, could be, potentially could be a pretty significant issue, especially given the fact that on this podcast, I have really pounded the table on using this app and this social media platform for your business, and that's TikTok. And of course, if you guys follow the news on social media, marketing type stuff, or let's say you follow Social Media Today, that's one of the publications that I really enjoy staying in touch with. There was a headline 2 days ago that said the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission here in the United States, FCC commissioner calls for TikTok to be removed from U.S. app stores, unquote. And of course, sort of sent a chill through my spine because of, obviously number one, the fact that we have touted this application and its power for organic reach and so forth. There's that, and then there's just the fact that personally, in my own experimentation with the app, I have seen firsthand how powerful and how significant it can really be. So this is potentially a really big deal. Now, I also want to, sort of temper that with the fact that we went through this once before here in the States a couple of years ago when the pandemic was kind of underway in 2020. In the previous presidential administration with banning this app or forcing its ownership in the United States, at least, into U.S. hands. And so we sort of successfully navigated that hurdle once before. And of course, looking back on it, I think there could even be some cynicism that there was a little bit of gamesmanship going on there, politics, etc. But the point is, I kind of debated whether to even make an episode about this or not, but the fact that I've talked as much as I have about TikTok on this podcast, I feel makes it necessary to bring this to light and kind of talk about it a little bit. And I have the article up in front of me here from Social Media Today. I just wanted to sort of cite a couple of things here for you guys in terms of what they were saying about it. So it says here, the FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr published an open letter calling upon both Apple and Google to remove TikTok from their app stores due to TikTok's, quote, pattern of surreptitious data practices, unquote, which specifically relates to how it shares data with its Chinese parent company, unquote. Now, the background there is, of course, being under Chinese ownership, there was suspicion here that the app was being used to track users and collect their data and do a bunch of data mining. And look, I don't know if that's the case or not. I mean, I think from all of the information that's out on social media, period, lots of people can do lots of data mining with that information. I mean, we've even seen examples of it with things like facial recognition, like Clearview AI, scraping facial data and using it in its own database. I mean, the possibilities are endless across social media in general. But yes, in particular, especially given U.S.-China relations lately, I mean, there's always this possibility that there's a secondary motive behind the application and the fact it's owned by China and so forth. But so that's kind of what's going on in the backdrop here. That was the backdrop of the last challenge that occurred in 2020 to TikTok that it successfully navigated. Now, So the FCC commissioner went on to say the following, quote, TikTok is not what it appears to be on the surface. It's not just an app for sharing funny videos or memes. That's the sheep's clothing. At its core, TikTok functions as a sophisticated surveillance tool that harvests extensive amounts of personal and sensitive data, unquote. So it's a pretty damning allegation, or what the government believes is more than allegation. So, and then the article goes on to talk about the fact that in 2020, when iOS 14 came out, TikTok users noticed that the app was actually like accessing Clipboard content, that is stored on the phone and things of that nature. So there's some discussion about that. And then at the end of the article, I just want to read one other point to you here. So it talked about the fact that in 2020, President Trump at the time issued an executive order about it. But then when the incoming President Joe Biden, sort of called the dogs off and said, no, we're not going to go that far with anything. And then, of course, TikTok made some changes. It moved user data into an Oracle server farm in the United States, I believe. So there was some fluctuation there, right? And so the article finishes up by saying, this latest push may be just noise, as the FCC is calling on others to take action. It's not actually saying the government is going to take action. Quote, but it reawakens the looming specter of Chinese spying, which Meta and many others have been pushing as a key reason to rid the U.S. of the app. I suspect that with China-U.S. relations remaining tenuous, the Biden administration will be hesitant to take action, but maybe that in itself will lead to louder calls to pull the plug on the app, unquote. So there's a reference in here, ironically, Meta, or formerly Facebook, has been in a lot of trouble with the government, so they're actually pointing fingers at TikTok and trying to use the government's heavy club, so to speak, to reduce one of its own competitors, one of the apps that's been stealing, user attention and so forth from it. So that's kind of ironic. But anyway, the outlook here is interesting. Will the government back away because we don't want to further upset China, or will those icy relations actually cause this ban to go through, and for the app to be removed from stores, the Apple and Google stores? So anyway, I think, having said all that, guys, just kind of bring you up to speed on it. I think now I would say, or you would think, what next, Chris? Like, what should I do? I mean, you're telling me to get on TikTok. Should I actually get on TikTok? Or I am on TikTok, and I was investing time into TikTok, and now, maybe I shouldn't. And I think, here's the thing, guys. This is a tough one. There's not an easy right answer to it. You have to do what feels right for your business. If you know that you can gain traction on other platforms, and TikTok was more of an experiment, maybe it is time to shift away. But maybe not. Maybe it's time to double down and say, I don't think it's actually going to happen. I don't think there's going to be a ban. I'm going to push ahead. But I think for me personally, that's the best way I can kind of attack this. I kind of go with what Gary Vee teaches on this subject in terms of, forget about political bans and stuff, but when he talks about, there's a new platform, I don't have time to learn it, I'm just going to stick to the platform I already know, or whatever. I think the thing is, and the way he answers that is, you can't be too fancy, that's his term, about things like that. When the new stuff comes out or new platforms emerge, you have to go taste them, you have to go try them, even if they go away. Because you never know, in the meantime, which customers you may gain. You never know who you may be able to direct over to your other social media pages and will follow you in other platforms. And you never know, what lessons learned and what tactics or what strategies you may learn or glean from that platform that you can then employ on other ones. So, I think one of the examples Gary kind of goes to is Vine. The app Vine that had short little video clips and stuff on it. In some ways, somebody who is really doing well on Vine probably would do similarly well on TikTok because of the short form video content, things like that. So you have to kind of look at it as, in my opinion, there is no such thing as wasting time marketing. So if you go to TikTok and TikTok disappears, yes, you may lose traction that you gain there. You may lose the followers you gain. You may lose the effort that you've built up there. But you really haven't lost writ large. You've gained on the larger platform, if you will, the larger stage. if you will, figuratively speaking, because of the fact that you engaged on a new platform, brought in more followers, potentially brought them over to your other platforms, learn new tactics, learn new strategies, et cetera, et cetera. So I think, it's just something you gotta kind of make your own decision. But personally, I am not going to stop using TikTok. I am not going to stop experimenting with it and pointing clients towards it and that sort of thing. I believe, as a hunch, I believe that this political wind will sort of blow through, and you will see that this doesn't actually come to fruition. But I'm just going off of a hunch with that. Please don't take that to the bank. You've got to look at what works best for your situation. I just fundamentally agree with Gary, and I don't think any time spent marketing, if it's being done in good faith and effectively, is a waste of time, even if that platform happens to disappear. And you never know. Who knows? It might disappear and it may come back. And then your account's reinstated and you pick up where you left off. I mean, you just can't predict. And so making a big change like, hey, I was on TikTok doing well and now I'm going to abandon the app, or hey, I had some great ideas for TikTok and I hadn't even started yet, but now I'm not going to do it. It just doesn't, I don't think it's the most prudent course of action when you take a step back and you look at sort of a holistic picture here. So, okay, guys, so anyway, bottom line is do your own research on this. If you're on the fence, I would look into this. I would kind of, get a sense of it from your own standpoint, whether it makes sense or not. And if you want to consult with us about it, be happy to do an engagement where we can kind of walk through the issue with you guys and kind of see, does it really make sense for you or not for the stage that you're at in your business. All right, so we're going to leave it at that, guys. If you're in the States and you're celebrating the 4th, hope everybody has a great weekend, a long, restful weekend, and a happy 4th. We will be back week of 5, 6, 7, 8 July with episodes 72 and 73. So look out for that. But yeah, hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope you enjoy the extra time off if you have it. And like I said, we will be back next week. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook, Transform on there, and then transform.com on the website. And of course, please follow, subscribe to our podcast. Let us know if there's anything you want us to cover here. If there's anything we're not covering for you guys, would love to pivot and do that for you as well. So with that, I'm your host, Christopher Anastasia. I'm going to let you guys go for the weekend. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will see you again next week. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.